A chilling admission from the RCMP tonight. It says not only was the man who drove his car into two Canadian Forces members on its radar, but investigators had spoken to Martin Couture-Rouleau many times. The most recent intervention just 12 days ago. Police even arrested him once, but still they could not stop him from carrying out what they confirmed was a targeted attack. We have several angles on this story tonight, including what more we've learned about Couture-Rouleau and the soldier he killed. But we begin with our senior correspondent, Terry MILEWSKI, and the latest on the investigation. Terry.
Well, Peter, these are astonishing revelations. The RCMP watched the suspect for months. They met him, they met his family and his imam. They knew that he wanted to fight overseas, and they seized his passport. And yet they still didn't have enough to lock him up.
It's difficult to do more because we cannot arrest someone for thinking, for having radical thoughts. It's not a crime in Canada.
The Mounties say they did all they could, even though they knew back in June that Martin Couture-Rouleau had converted to Islam, grown his beard, called himself Ahmad, and posted on Facebook the black flag of ISIS, plus grisly pictures of Muslim martyrs and shots of Western leaders, including Stephen Harper, surrounded by Jewish leaders.
Postings on his Facebook site showed that he had become radicalized and wanted to leave the country to fight.
So when their suspect tried to leave for Turkey in July, the Mounties stopped him at the airport, seized his passport, but that's all.
We did not have any indication, not whatsoever, on his intention to commit a crime in Canada here, or even overseas, because if we did, we would have arrested him.
All of that came out too late for question period in Ottawa, which was focused on the death of one of the two soldiers hit.
This was a despicable act of violence that strikes against not just this soldier and his colleagues, but frankly against our very values as a civilized democracy.
Still, that did not explain why Couture-Rouleau was not charged when it is an offense to travel for the purpose of committing terrorism.
It was part of our investigative efforts to try and identify those people who might commit the criminal act of traveling abroad for terrorist purposes.
But he was not watched every minute. He was one of just 28 suspects where the RCMP have actually intervened. But a CSIS official testified only yesterday that there's just no budget to watch suspects all the time.
I'd be foolhardy to say we have all the bases covered. We do what we can with the budget that we have.
All Canadians should be very concerned that CSIS and the RCMP are telling us they don't have enough financial resources to do the job.
A lot of Canadians will be asking questions of how this happened and why this happened in the coming days and weeks. And I certainly hope that this government is more forthcoming with answers than it has been in the past.
The shortest and simplest response came from the Foreign Minister.
It's a significant challenge for our law enforcement agencies to arrest people for crimes that they haven't committed.
But the most troubling reaction came from overseas, from Canadian jihadis who claim to be fighting in Syria and Iraq. One calling himself Mutana al-Kanadi, meaning the Canadian. He is from Windsor, Ontario, tweeted Canada starting to pay the price of intervention. Convert to Islam ran down Canadian soldiers. Another, using the name Abu Khalid al-Kanadi, tweeted Canadian brother Martin Rouleau rams two Canadian soldiers, then achieves martyrdom after police shoot him. Allahu Akbar. God is great. Now it seems clear that the decision not to charge Couture-Rouleau will be scrutinized. The RCMP say they couldn't convince the prosecutor about him, so why not? And how did he become radicalized anyway? Peter.
All right, Terry, thank you. Terry MILEWSKI in Ottawa.